You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply.
You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls? Hang up the phone! Prank caller!
Welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the only call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network, at least that I'm aware of. We're going to do calls today. We haven't done it in a little while. Been busy making stupid videos like that. I mean, not stupid, amazing videos like that. And so that's what we're going to do today. If you'd like to call in, 608-501-0718 is the phone number. If you're wondering why this depth chart is up, just a placeholder. Just a placeholder until we have a reason to look something up. Also, let me know as quickly as possible if you either don't hear audio or if the audio is echoey, because because things happen. But let's get started with Kyle from Madison.
Hey, Kyle, again, just want to add on real quick on your Netflix discussion. I'm actually getting into that pod now. You're just talking about the infrastructure required, to do an NFL game.
Yeah.
Which is probably more infrastructure than is required of any other.
It's pretty wild.
I'm trying to I can't imagine, maybe golf or something weird that I'm not thinking of, but the number of angles you need, and the shutter speed that you need from those cameras because of the need to do replays in slow motion. Like, you need a lot of cameras. I'm kind of surprised maybe Netflix didn't, and maybe like you're saying, they don't have a partner in this, but it seems like it'd be a lot cheaper just to pay one of the other companies a percentage, they're not doing the game, just to bring their infrastructure. But I was going to say that the absolute worst, when this is on display, in its most noticeable form, is definitely if you're an international soccer fan, in particular a U.S. fan, when it comes time for qualifications to the tournaments like the World Cup. You got to play everybody in your region and sometimes South America, depending. And obviously in the United States, I don't know what percentage, but the majority of televisions are now, HD, and they're in the 16:9 ratio or whatever. But when you get into Central America and South America, that's not the case. So, the way it works in that sport is whoever's the home team, is the one that broadcasts it, and they make quite a bit of money. So if you go play in Belize or something, they're going to get that American audience, get that American dollar. But, problem is most of their customers don't have that yet. So you have a lot of different resolutions, and it's horrible, man. You'll be watching and it's in a 4:3 format and standard, definition with maybe two cameras. Soccer's miserable to watch with very few cameras because you can imagine they're just right at midfield and just aiming left and right.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound bad. It's bad. It's bad when you don't have cameras you can switch to. So I hope, my goodness, Netflix is basically printing money, so they better get it figured out. They're going to need to look the part, I think. I think Amazon had some up and down, but on the whole, their production, I think, has looked really pretty good. So Netflix is going to have to spend the money, in my opinion, because it's miserable. If they don't look the part, it's going to be miserable for viewers, and they're going to lose money on this. So I would assume they're going to be printing money, and it'd be a good time to be a freelance pro sports producer, I'm guessing, with Netflix out there looking for somebody to do that for them.
Yeah, so this conversation is from a while ago, just talking about, so Netflix bought the rights to the Christmas Day games, so they're going to broadcast them, but they don't have the infrastructure to do it. They don't have a staff of people like ABC or Fox or NBC or whatever to go out there, man the cameras, man all the different this, that, or the other. They don't have an announcing, they have to pay an out. They don't have all that in place already. So I don't know the status on that. They're going to end up partnering with one of the major networks to get that done. But the funny thing about it, twofold. Number one, they didn't do that ahead of time. And number two, they outbid, let's say, for example, Fox for that game. And now they have to come crawling back to Fox to be like, hey, man, sorry about that whole Christmas thing. By the way, would you mind like shooting it for me and letting me use it? Let's see. Netflix should team with Disney and do a Toy Story broadcast. So they have that Nickelodeon one. Toy Story one would be pretty cool. They probably do a pretty good job because Disney owns Pixar. That'd be awesome. That'd be pretty cool. All right, keep on rolling here. Andy from Kansas.
Hey, Ryan, this is Andy. Back stuck in Kansas at least for a little while. We are headed out to western Colorado, beyond the mountains, next week for a little family get-together from my wife's side. And you want to talk about the weather? Because I guess. I don't either.
Whatever you
want
to
talk about. But I'm going to, just looking ahead there.
It's your show.
It's going to be in the triple digits for 5 whole days that we're going to be out there. And I know they're going to say, oh, it's a dry heat. I don't care. If I didn't puke but had dry heaves, that would not make it any better.
I don't think it's the same thing.
Not to cause any concern or panic among your listenership, but I've got some inside information about the current and future heat waves that apparently are being talked about here in the month of June.
Mm-hmm.
I have, insider information that about the next 2 heat waves. The second one here is going to happen in the month of July. And believe it or not, it's going to go like the entire month. And then the third heat wave that's upcoming will take place in a month called August. Also going to last pretty much the whole month. But I've had a premonition that come mid-September...
Did you just describe summer to us? There's a heat wave coming called July and August. So maybe that was a joke and that's what you meant. But if not, that's the thing.
We are going to have what we like to call a reverse heat trend. So that's a good thing. That should help out a lot.
Okay.
Anyway, you're talking about brats. Yeah, brats are the best. I like to do, either or, cake or pie. Well, for me, it's pie. Hot dog or hamburger. Wrong on both cases. The correct answer is brat to that question, by the way. Missing Watertown, Wisconsin, and Glenn's Meat Market. Have been in Watertown. Go to Glenn's. They've got like 24 different kinds. That is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I'll call you back. Bye.
So, I have not been to Glenn's. They have, I'll have to come, oh, that is it. Yeah. So there's another one, what is it called? There's a butcher shop near me, and then they have another one that's in Watertown, but I have not been to Glenn's. I'll have to check that out, because I do like meat. It's probably going to be a little bit extra and probably not as good of quality would be my guess. Not a whole lot of local cows getting butchered up and, you're getting prime quality or whatever, but I'll definitely check it out. I'll tell you what, too, you talk about burgers and brats and whatnot. Man, you go to a cookout, you know how glorious it is to have a plate that just has like a burger and a brat on it? You know how happy that makes me? That's the best thing. That's one of the greatest things about cookouts to begin with, is the fact that it's not like dinner where it's like you get your one thing. It's like there's so much crap, and it's like the best of the crap, and you put it all on one. I love it, man. I love it. Like, I like smoking and all that. We just did a brisket, finished today. Delicious. It's only the second time I've ever done a brisket. So good. My son and I have really got into pork belly. That's something we're a huge fan of, but just a good old-fashioned burger and brat. Oh, my Lord. As far as the heat, we just had a little bit of a heat wave come through here, and it, I'll tell you what, man, You say what you want about the dry heat, wet heat thing. It makes a big difference. We had, I want to say it was like in the 90s. It's been hot, right? 90s or whatever. It was probably 2 days ago. I remember I opened up the back door to my house, and immediately it hit me in the face, and I closed the door. I'm like, this is the hottest day of the year. It's not even close. Like, I'm not going out there. And it was only like, it was probably 82, something like that. The humidity was through the roof. And my son, we've been going on walks. There's a park down the street here, and we've been going on walks, and it was the most miserable experience on that day. And the humidity makes a big difference, man. It really does. I mean, it's like when it's winter time, saying like whether it's windy or not doesn't make a difference. It's the only difference. It's the only thing. I'd rather have 0 degrees and no wind. You go outside, it's like, that's not that bad. Like, I don't need gloves or anything. You get 20 degrees and a whipping wind, it's like, I can't do it. I cannot freaking do it. So, what else were you talking about here? There was a couple different things I was going to stop you and then didn't. Talking about the weather, meat, heat, pie and cake. I don't know. Depends. There's some really good cake. There's some really good pie out there. I do like a good pie, though. What else you got for us, Andy?
Ryan, it's Andy again.
Oh, by the way, comment section real quick. Pedro says, just give me AI with John Madden voice on broadcast, but Toy Story wouldn't be bad, too. Everybody's like upset about this whole AI doing voice. I couldn't give a crap. First of all, AI eventually would do a better job than the guys that we have. Because a lot of these guys, I'm not talking about Al Michaels, he does a good job and all that, whatever, but most of these guys are bumbling idiots that say stuff that annoys everybody. You bring back AI John Madden, that's all I ever want to hear. That's all I want to. I don't want to hear anything else. You kidding me? Every game, I want John Madden covering Packer. John Madden, Al Michaels, Pat Summerall, whatever, doing the Packers game. That's all I want. Be down. Too old for this says, be down for Frank Caliendo impressions of Madden. Yeah, Frank Caliendo's kind of a goofball, though. I don't know. I'd rather have AI do it. Have you had a brat burger? Super weird, super delicious. You mean a brat that's just in the shape of a burger? I haven't, but I'm sure, I don't know why it wouldn't be good. Sorry, Andy, go ahead.
Until today, Thursday, I really haven't thought about the Packers really truly needing to win the Super Bowl. But in the context of some of the more recent conversations about do you re-sign Dobbs or Watson, for the first time where I thought, okay, with that, imagine that being the number one real question going into next season, or even next offseason, I should say. Thinking, okay, how about we say that the Packers do need to win the Super Bowl? Like, the pressure's on, they need to do it.
Looks good.
And I say that because if you can have either one of these guys or even both of these guys really play well and then go all the way and win the Super Bowl, I wouldn't say that you'd have to offer one the contract and not the other. What if you just trade one of them? Trade one of them after you win the Super Bowl when they've both been, pretty big contributors. Now, some would say that's kind of crazy to do it that way. Yeah, but if you're not going to keep both of them, you might as well really push and get something. And and how are you going to get, really the highest value if you're coming off the Super Bowl win? So just kind of, figuring that part out or restructuring that thought that way. They would, whoever gets traded would have 1 year on a very cheap contract, but you could ask for a ton, I think, especially for a team that's contending and wants a wide receiver. It sounds crazy, but Goody's just been doing a bang-up job, so I think that would be great. Anyway, I know it's been the slow, part of the off-season or whatever. So I'm going to leave you with actually some baseball scores from around the league, just to give you something to think about. Let's see here: 5-3, 6-1, and 9-8 in 12 innings. Bye.
What the heck are we talking about? Here's some of those pineapple teriyaki brats. You're talking about all different kinds of brats. They got pineapple teriyaki. I don't think I would eat that, I'll be honest. I mean, I would, but that would not be my pick if we're getting some crazy brats or whatever. I don't know. I mean, a lot of times mean, I know for the sake of the hypothetical, how would you handle it? It'd be interesting to kind of walk through that. Generally speaking, though, we have these hypothetical conversations, and they're kind of a waste of time because it doesn't come down to that. Like, well, we're obviously not going to be able to pay all of them, so what do we do? Like, well, the premise is wrong. My thought process, and I'm sure there are scenarios where this isn't the case, right? You can dream up something where it's impossible to keep everybody. But my general premise on this is when the Packers want to keep somebody, they keep somebody. I mean, Devontae, okay, he kind of basically forced his way off. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is I can't think of a single instance where the Packers are like, man, we'd like to keep this guy. We just don't have the money, and so we're going to have to cut him. Maybe it's happened. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that they would see this coming down the pipeline, and they would plan for it accordingly. I mean, I think, you change when you give certain guys contracts, right? If you see this coming, and like, let's say Reed and Watson and Wicks and Dobbs all just blow up, and they're looking amazing. Maybe you offer Watson a contract this year, right? So you start the clock on that one. And then, you work on Dobbs next year, and then you work on Reed the next year. And, you just work on the structure that way. I just don't think that's something that needs to be really, a lot of time needs to be spent, especially this early. Like, if we get to that point, but I think a lot of this is going to work itself out. Some of these guys are going to flame out. If Watson continues with injuries, I don't know how hard we pursue that. But if you were to force me into a situation where, all of them became Justin Jefferson, Watson, Wicks, Reed, Dobbs, what do you do? Yeah, probably. You probably have to, I guess, trade somebody and recoup, like a first-round pick and invest in another position, or multiple first-round picks or whatever, because they're just massively elite. But I just don't think that that's really anything outside of maybe an interesting thought experiment. I don't think it's anything we need to really worry about. How long have we been going here? 17. Why don't we take our first break? We'll come back and hear from TJ in Alabama. What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks. Like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
510 declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Yeah, Josh Kohler says first world problems in regard to the this, and that is true. You know, when we start arguing less about how do we fix this piece of crap team and more about how are we going to pay all these guys, that's when you know that's right where you need to be.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama.
What's up?
Just listening to, the Gutekunst interview and your comments and so on and so forth and talking about kickers. And normally kickers are not, super high on my list to talk about. But a thought popped into my head and I need to get it out and see where you land on it. So, I mean, in general, yes, I would be upset if we're drafting, as we have in the past, a punter or a kicker in the third round or something of that nature. Like that is way too high for the for the value of a punter or kicker that you don't know. So, like, obviously right now we're in a little bit of a, we're not feeling awesome about our kicker. I'm sure some people love Anders, some people don't, but whatever. Right this moment, at least me personally, is like, I hope Anders is awesome and he becomes a Hall of Fame kicker for the Packers, yada, yada. But, like, right this moment, I'm not very comfortable with it, and last year wasn't so hot. Feeling pretty good about Daniel Whalen, but, in the past, we've absolutely had semi-disasters at punter and lost those playoff games and so on and so forth. So, our current place kicker situation, and then go back in time and pick a bad punter situation, what would it be worth to you for a draft pick, because every draft pick's unknown, right, for the sure thing of a pick your favorite, but I'll go Justin Tucker, place kicker, or, pick your favorite punter back, whatever. And I'm not talking Hall of Fame Ray guys or that kind of stuff. It's like current
Dude, Justin Tucker's up
mode,
there, man.
Justin Tucker, what would that be worth to us right this moment? Would it be worth a 5th round pick, 6th round pick, 2nd round pick, 1st round pick for the sure thing of a super, best kicker in the league? What would that be worth? And I'm not sure. I think it'd be worth pretty darn high.
Yeah.
If we could have the best kicker in the league, and like I said, I will go with Justin Tucker, but whatever. Yeah, I think that'd be worth at least a second. Now, don't get me wrong. I would never draft a kicker with the 2nd pick. I probably wouldn't even trade for Justin Tucker with a 2nd pick. But like just value and the 50-50 nature of the draft, or even less than that, I think it's probably worth it. I don't know. What you think?
I think my kids are running around the house hitting the doorbell, driving me nuts, and I can't hit my mute button. That one works. This one does not. So I apologize if you keep hearing ding-dong every 5 seconds. I heard somebody's at the back door, and then the camera kicked on, and I saw a kid go by the back door. So that's probably what they're doing. Stupid kids. What are we talking about now? Oh, kickers. So if you're talking, Justin Tucker, sure thing from day one, I'm trying to decide if we should give up a 1st round pick, and I know
someone is at the front door.
I know that's not going to be a popular thing to say, but it's freaking kids. I don't know, man. So first of all, let's establish 100% I'd give up a 3rd round pick. I would draft them in the 3rd round. That's not even close. And I think everybody would. I mean, we see kickers go in the 4th, 5th round, and you don't even know. 2nd round pick feels borderline no-brainer to me. Again, this is we're talking Tucker at 22, 23 years old. He's going to be with our team for 20 years and is going to be an unbelievably clutch. We're talking potential Hall of Fame, kicker, whatever. I think if you expended a 1st round pick, I think there'd be a lot of crap given to them. I don't think I would disagree. Just sure pick alone makes it worth it, because in the 1st round, you're talking maybe 50-50 that they can contribute. So let's go back. Of our last several 1st round picks, would you have rather had? How many 1st round picks would you rather have than Tucker? There's a lot of them, but I don't know, man. I would say it's in the conversation. No, so Pedro says I thought it was a trade. I know he made the comment that I wouldn't even trade this for that or the other. I mean, if we're talking trade, it's not super high, but where would you draft a guy if it was a guarantee and it was a kicker? To me, second round pick is a no-brainer. It's a borderline first round pick. We're talking one of the best kickers in the last 20 years. I don't know. If Pedro's talking about how much would you trade, that's sort of another question, because maybe I did get it wrong and he was talking trade. I mean, the point is, Tucker today, how many years does he have left? I don't know what I would give up for Tucker today. If it's a young rookie, a late first for sure, says Pedro. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough question if we're talking trade, because I would need to know. I cannot answer. But he leads to drive me nuts. It's a tough question because I don't know how long this is. I mean, if we're talking a guy that we think can be here for, let's call it 5 years. Let's say we're in about a 5-year window where we can expect Watson and Reed and Kraft and Musgrave and Love and all these guys to kind of stick together for roughly 5 years. So if he can cover that 5-year span, I think I would be comfortable with a third, is what Pedro said. I think I would agree with that. A second is a little iffy for me for a kicker, because, you know, the whole argument against it is you can find kickers. Now, that's kind of oversimplifying things. I don't know that that's necessarily true, because it's a struggle for a lot of teams. For years, they cycle through and through and through, and especially when we're in our window, what is it worth? But let's just say comfortably third. I would be pushing it to maybe go a little bit higher. If we're talking drafting, I think first-round pick is certainly on the table. Josh says, we could have very well been in the Super Bowl last year with Tucker. And that's the thing, man. It always seems like a small thing until you're in that moment. You know what I mean? You're in those clutch moments, and you need a guy like that. You know, who was it? Brian Gutekunst, I think, recently did an interview, and, you know, the highest scoring player on any given team is your kicker, right? And some of it has to do with how long they're there, but I mean, these guys score the points for you, you know, with all the extra points and all the field goals. They score a lot of freaking points. And if you got a guy that's making most of them compared to missing a ton, it makes a big difference. We could look back at this conversation in 5 years and be saying the same about Anders. He could turn around 100%. Right. But that's kind of the overall thing, right? That's the cost benefit. You might be trading away a third round pick for Tucker when you could just find a Tucker somewhere else. You might be able to get one in undrafted free agency. You might have one on the roster now. You just got to let them develop. You don't know. That's what you're paying for, though. Right? It's the same thing with how much would, I don't know, who's another premier but not overly stupid player, like I don't know. Let's just say a really good tight end, right? You go get a really good tight end. Well, what if Musgrave turns into that? Well, then it turns out that maybe we didn't need to do that. But it would be nice to know that you have that guy, and so you pay for that premium. What was Justin Tucker as a rookie in PFF? I don't know. Garrett.
Hey, Pack Daddy. It's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
What's up, man?
So I got some more homework for you.
Oh, boy.
With your discussion regarding defenses and defensive coordinators and the pattern showing what they're ranked each year and then results of DCs get fired, what I would like to see you check is the last 10 Super Bowl winners. What was their defense ranked the year they won? What was their defense ranked the next year? We know that Kansas City has Spagnuolo. He hasn't been hired away. He's remained their defensive coordinator. And yet, their defense is really not anything spectacular. But they won 2 Super Bowls back to back. So I'm just kind of curious if there's a pattern of working a coach into a system that he knows he's going to be successful in this system. If he leaves it to go take a head coaching job, there's no guarantees. But if he stays, then like with Spagnuolo, it's resulted in 3 Super Bowls for him. Yeah. And I think some coaches would rather have the Super Bowl wins than be a head coach. So I'm just hoping Hafley has significant success and that he doesn't get sniped away by a adversary in the conference or another team that we don't like to be the head coach. I hope he sees the potential of this team being really, really good and just stands pat and remains the defensive coordinator. So I'd just be really curious, what are the reasons behind Spagnuolo staying, and what are the patterns with all these Super Bowl winners? So I'm out.
Yeah, I'll have to take a gander at that, I suppose. But as far as Spagnuolo staying and would Hafley be willing to do the same thing, it's not impossible. I feel like if you get the opportunity, if an offer came along, it's so hard to turn that down. To be a head coach in the NFL. I mean, that's always the dream, isn't it? Maybe he was always a college guy and that's how he got away from it. And I think if you were to argue in favor of him making this decision, I mean, he stepped away as a college head coach to be a defensive coordinator in the NFL, not necessarily because it was the best move or the most linear move to where he wants to go, but just because it's like a work-life balance thing. It's about passion. It's about, I'm a freaking administrator over here and I want to be a football guy. I want to scheme. I want to attack. I want to do these things. And I couldn't do that as a college football head coach. So maybe he could kind of see that, and you get an offer from freaking Washington or something to be the head coach, and you're like, this is going to suck. Like, the team is going to suck. Everything's going to suck. I got to go deal with the bureaucracy. I did it. I didn't like it. It's not impossible, right? Especially if the Packers do end up winning a Super Bowl or at least get close and he can see the vision and he's like, look, I can sit here and I can be, we can really get this defense going. I can make it even better, and we will win Super Bowls, and we could go on to be a dynasty. We could go on to beat what the Chiefs did. We can go back-to-back. We can go 3. We can get whatever. It's not impossible. I just think the allure of it, having never done it, would be tough. But at the same time, the sales pitch, if I'm the Packers to Hafley, would be, listen, I'm very happy for you, and if that's what you want to do, I completely understand wanting to chase that. Here's the counterpoint. We're on to something special here. You're going to go over there. It's going to be a disaster. Not because of you, but just it's a bad football team with bad players and bad owners and whatever. Once we continue on, and we will, because we've got some good defensive staff, we'll promote from within and we'll get the right guys and we'll keep on doing what we're doing. When you get let go over there in 2 years, we're not bringing you back. You're going back trying to find a defensive coordinator job, and at that point, who knows who's going to pick you up, and once they do, if you're not successful, I mean, your stint can be done. Or you dig in your heels with me, and this is what we do. I'm the offense guy. You're the defense guy. That's the quarterback. That's the GM. These are the receivers. Like, we're a young group. We can do this for 10 years if we want to. And we just keep doing it and keep doing it with very little turnover necessary. But it's up to you. If you want to go to frickin' Washington, go ahead. I don't know if that sales pitch will work, but that would be my pitch. I understand the allure, but you did it before, right? You had a great gig at Ohio State. You thought you had something better over at Boston College. It was a disaster. You end up taking another DC job shortly thereafter because you hated it. Don't make that mistake again. Too Old for This says, you just know that if Hafley proves himself competent, that the Bears are going to try to snub the Bears. Why are they even a team, man? Get your own stuff, dude. Draft your own players. Find your own coaches. I mean, you go out and you get Matt Nagy, right? You pluck them from the Chiefs. Well, they win Super Bowls, so they must be good. You bring them in. You suck. right? You draft a quarterback, he sucks. You draft a new quarterback, he sucks. You go get a new coach, he sucks. Like, just stop. Just stop. Oh, what up, Ryan? Looking forward to your fresh takes coming up. We'll see what I got for you. What time we got? Why don't we take a break? I'm getting a little tired, and of course today's debate night. If anybody's interested, the debates always remind me of the preseason, right? Like I always like get excited about it, like, oh, this is gonna be crazy. And 2 minutes in, I'm like, this sucks. This is not interesting at all. This is stupid. Like it's almost like NASCAR. You're just waiting for the crash, you know? No offense. I mean, you know, hope everybody's okay. But outside of that, there's nothing interesting that happens. You're just waiting for like that gotcha moment, that kind of crazy, like, oh, dang. But now there's no audience. It's going to be boring. But I pretend it's going to be all exciting. I'm all jacked up about it. Anyways, let's take a break. We'll come back, and we've got more Garrett from Southern Illinois.
I wanted to point something else out when it comes to the defenses and how sometimes they show a pretty drastic drop or pretty drastic improvement. And one of the things you didn't bring up was, you know, loss of free agents that might have been, you know, the linchpin for the defense that is a free agent the next year, and they get signed away because they played so good in that defense that they lose some of their most key playmakers, and then the next year there's just a big drop-off. So I think there's a lot of little things to consider when a defense, you know, has this pattern of up and down, up and down, up and down with new defense coordinators. But I think the players have a lot to do with who you're plugging in, who you're losing to free agency, and who you're drafting. Is the player a bust? Is the player a hit? And, you know, there's so many things to consider when it comes to how a defense is going to perform. So I thought I'd point that out because I think it has a lot to do with how some of these teams are really, really good, and then all of a sudden, boom, they have this huge drop-off. But I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a heck of a research assignment to really get into the nitty-gritty of it. So kind of what he's referencing, I think, it took me a minute to even remember what I was talking about, but if you track out defenses over the last 10 years, it's very rare to just see consistent domination. It's you know, if you can get a good defense, that's great. If you can do it in 2 years in a row, that's really impressive. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I mean, by the time you get out to 5 years, there's not many, if any, that have been able to do it. And I'm just talking like top 10 defenses, which isn't even that, I mean, top third. Congratulations, right? I'm not even talking necessarily massively elite. So there's a lot of volatility. And yeah, to actually fully research it and say, okay, players coming in and out, coaches going in and out, if you control for this or control for that, you know, in other words, could you expect more sustained success, assuming we largely kept the same players because we're young and somehow we were able to retain the same coach? Then could you expect to maybe maintain it? Maybe. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to go do all of that work. It took me a long time just to get those 10 years of history together. But maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It certainly wouldn't hurt, but you also have to factor in, you know, adaptation. Offenses adapt. You know, I think part of the appeal of Hafley is that we're kind of moving toward what's working defensively right now. It's only going to be a thing for a year or 2 or 3. And then it becomes a question of, can Hafley continue to adapt to still run your defense, but be able to, you know, adapt to what modern offenses are doing. And that's a whole thing in and of itself. Too Old for This says, can't wait for the highlights of the debate, but really it's just different sources cutting the footage to fit their agendas. It's 100%. It is funny, like when you pop into a bubble and it's this one picture, and if you didn't watch it, you're like, holy cow, that's crazy. This one person just eviscerated and this sounds like a bumbling idiot. And then you unplug and you go into a different bubble, and it's like, Wow, this was like it's like two different universes we live in. Let's see. Josh says, hopefully the Bears being a threat to democracy comes up in the debates. I hope so, man. That would be the greatest thing in the world. If there's one thing the two of us can agree on, it's that the Chicago Bears are the biggest threat to democracy. I would laugh, and I might even vote for whoever says it. Simple question is, what are your thoughts on the Chicago Bears? Would tell me everything I need to know. That's exactly right. Because politicians will come through here, and then the governor will hand them a jersey, and they hold up the jersey. Packers, love the Packers. Packers are great. But they're also going to do that. You go to Minnesota, they hand you a jersey. You go to Detroit, you go to Chicago. They're going to say the same thing. I want to know right now, in front of the nation, the eyes of the nation are on you. NFC North, who's going to win it? Packers, Bears, Vikings, Lions, pick a team. Which team is the best? That should be automatic. If it's not, I don't think either of them are even close to front. I think they're both from the East Coast, but you got to know these things, man. You're president of the United States, not president of like the East Coast. So I want an answer right now. Right? Rust Belt time. Let's go. Pick a team. Pick wisely. Unfortunately, you want to appeal to the most vote. Although you got to go swing state, so you take Chicago Bears out of it. Minnesota, so it's going to be between Detroit and Green Bay. I bet they'd say Packers. I bet they would. I think that's going to be like the tightest swing state and also the easiest answer because of the history and all that stuff. I'm sorry. Now we're getting off on it's not a political tirade, but I'm just going off on the thing. Bears aren't a threat to anything, says Savage. True that. Uncle Rico, save me.
Yo, Ryan.
Hey.
It's your uncle, Rico. I just heard you talking on the pod. Once again, I'm running a little bit behind here, but about Joey Chestnut.
Goat.
And whatever those nasty-ass things he's sponsoring. Dude, Joey Chestnut is dead to me.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
Come
the vegan
on.
thing.
He's like the Colin Kaepernick of the hot dog world. Rico out.
What does that mean? Is Colin Kaepernick a sellout? Is that what we're saying? Yeah, that is shameful, man. It really is. I understand taking the money, but you are the king of hot dogs. You are the king of gluttony, and you go off and sign with some vegetarian, vegan hot dog company, which you can't even call it a hot dog. What is it? It's a pile of bean sprouts in the shape of a kind of phallic thing. I don't know. It's disgusting. I want to see. Here's what I want. I want to see him, and maybe he's already planning on doing this. Do a simulcast during the Nathan's hot dog competition while they're all fighting for actual second place. I want him eating those vegan hot dogs. You know why? Dude is going to puke after he eats 5 of them because that's disgusting. There's no way. There's no way. Oh boy, I'm not getting into that. I'm going to read it, but I'm not going to. Fair enough. Dakota.
Hey, this is Dakota, that nerd in Tennessee. How you doing, Ryan?
Good. Thanks. How are you?
That's good to hear.
Thanks.
I guess. I hope that's good to hear. If not, I'm so sorry.
I'm
But,
dying.
So
How dare
for
you?
folks that don't know, I work at a state park in Tennessee, and we get a whole bunch of folks. Actually, we get a whole bunch of folks, French Canadians, actually. But, a lot of times we'll get a bunch of people from, Wisconsin and up in that area. So we had a family from Wisconsin come in this morning, wanting to go to Beale Street and, ask them some questions. And I try to get around to this. Do y'all happen to watch football? So the wife looks at the husband and is like, oh, yeah, this one here does. And the husband said, yeah, we live in Wisconsin, but it's not what you think. It might be considered heresy. Because I had just let him know that I'm a Green Bay fan. Well, I was like, oh no, are you a Bears fan? He said, oh, not that much heresy. I said, oh no, what is it? He said, I'm a Vikings fan. I live,
I'm going to need his license plate number when you get a chance. Just text that to me. We have procedures up here in Wisconsin for how we handle that stuff, but I'll let you finish, but I do need you to send me that license plate.
right there on the river that I can't remember what he called it. But over there on the west side, I'm guessing, of Wisconsin. And he started talking about, he's like, oh man, we lost Kirk Cousins, and he was so sad about it. So, just to gauge him, I said, hey, I'm a fan of J.J. McCarthy, sitting for a year. I know you got Sam Darnold, but, ride or die with him for 1 year at least. You got Josh McCown to coach up McCarthy, and he's just like, yeah, he's just like, I just liked Kirk Cousins. He was a good quarterback. I said, you know what? I agree. He said, but, hey, tell you what, you're a Green Bay fan. You think it will be in poor taste to tell you a Green Bay joke? And I said, no, please do. I got a group of people that might want to hear it.
Oh, no.
He said, well, this is an oldie, but a goodie. He said, you may have heard this one before. And here comes the point of this story where I tell you the joke he said, and I just got to give you a warning. I suck at telling jokes. Okay. I am absolutely terrible. This
is like a Norm Macdonald joke.
See, that's my kind of joke, because I'm on a call. You can stop me, I guess. Never mind, joke failed. All right, here comes the joke.
Okay.
So a man buys a ticket to a Packers game, and he's all excited because it's his first game he's ever got to go to. And, he drives up, he's in good spirits. He walks to his seat, and he passes a gentleman. Every seat is full. He got there a little bit late. All the seats around him are full except for the one seat next to this one gentleman. So this guy stops and asks. He said, hey, what's the deal with the empty seat? And the guy said, well, that's my wife's seat. And he said, well, where's your wife at? The man said, well, she just passed away. And he said, oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. He said, but doesn't your wife have, like, a friend or something? Because, it's a shame. You can't leave a seat at Lambeau empty. You got to fill it up. He said, yeah, and I would have brought one of them, but they're all at her funeral. And there's the joke.
That was exactly 3 minutes, so that was perfect. But that's funny. That is funny. Never mind. I'm not going to say I had low expectations, but you beat yourself down so bad. I was worried that was going to be a bad experience for all of us, but that was a good joke. Dakota, what's up?
Okay, look. So now I keep looking at my phone. Oh, hey, y'all, this is Dakota, that nerd in Tennessee again. I keep looking at my phone now because usually I'm pretty good at gauging the time, and I would look and, I'd be about near where it's about to cut me off. And this time, and I know it makes a noise too when it hangs up. My phone does. It goes, bloop. I don't know. It just makes a weird noise like that.
Sure.
It didn't make that noise. I don't know where it went off.
No,
where did I end?
You nailed it. You don't have to tell it again.
I can't start from where it ended because I don't know where it said bloop. It didn't do it. Y'all, I'm struggling here. I don't know where it's going to, did it?
It was perfect.
Did it die in the beginning of the call? Do you even know that I'm a Vikings fan? Did I get to the joke? Did you hear how bad I am at delivering it?
It was good. You nailed it.
Y'all, I don't know.
You're good.
Anyway, I guess I'll hear it and then maybe call back later to tell the joke that I'm bad at telling. Unless it cut off in the middle of the joke. And that would suck. Anyway. Bye.
We even got the last part and that's the joke. I mean, it was instantaneous. That was just perfection. I'll tell you what, I am freaking whipped, man. I ate so much brisket that's weighing heavy on me, and so I slammed a bunch of coffee, and now I'm starting to crash from the coffee. So I'm gonna get out of here. You guys have a good rest of your night. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Appreciate the comment section for hanging out and keeping me entertained and whatnot. You guys have a good rest of your day. Make sure you check out Ticket King. Bye-bye.